Howdy folks, Little John in the brewery, and I'm doing a tasting on partial mash brew, the StarDorado, which I done back in February, about pretty close to 2 months ago to the day. This was a brew that was suggested by Kev Bristol from the Hopping Mechanism. He asked me about if I was interested in doing a partial mash video, because it's something I hadn't done a lot of. He offered me a good price on some liquid malt, being the Breeze liquid malt. I'm going to go and grab a can out, but anyhow, I think I've got one sitting just here. I mean, if you go back and look at the original, go back and look at Brew Day, which I'll stick a link up the top too. You'll see it. But this is how they come. They're a plastic tin. 1.5 litres, 1.5 kilo. And the Breeze, mentioned in the original video, these are specially brewed for beer making. They're not just a straight up plain old everyday malt extract. They're designed for brewing. They're made in America, and Kev sent some down, wanted me to do a partial mash. As I hadn't done a actual partial mash recipe on the channel. I've done kits with some grain, which sort of falls into the same sort of category, but doesn't go to quite the same extent of using malt extract and the grain and some hops, where we're doing a full control over the whole brew, at every sort of aspect. So before I get into tasting this fella, big shout out to all Little John's patrons. Special shout to Shane Robinette. I think that's how it's pronounced. I don't know. If Shane's French, it could be Robinet. I'm not sure. But anyway, links down the bottom in the description to Patreon. Jump on, have a look at it if you're interested. For a couple of bucks a month, you get to join the crew, and there's bonuses, there's prize draws, there's recipes of the month, bonus videos to come along with it. And cheers to those guys that are Patreons. If you aren't subscribed to the channel, hit the subscribe button down there in the corner, and hit the like button that's down there as well. All these things help me out and keep the channel going. So let's get on with this fella. StarDorado, I called it, because it was used a combination of Southern Star and Eldorado hops. And again, this was Kev's suggestion. Do a partial mash, can you use Southern Star and Eldorado hops? Okay, no worries. I'd never used Southern Star before. I had some here which I'd got from Kev a while before, and I hadn't got around to using them. And Eldorado, I use Eldorado quite a bit on the, I'm a decent fan of the Eldorado. It's a nice hop, and I so happen to have a nice bag of that, thanks to Kev as well. So bang into it we did. 2.4 kilos of grain were, 2.5 kilos all up, 1.4 ale malt, 1 kilo of lager malt, 100 grams of pale crystal were mashed in a Woolies stock pot, Woolies Big W stock pot, on the stove in 10 litres of water. Simple, and it was the whole point of this process, that you can brew an almost grain beer on minimal amount of equipment, and still get a full batch. Done videos previously on small batch stovetop brewing. We're using a 20 litre pot, and you can knock out a 10 or 11 litre batch of all grain beer. This is taking that sort of same process and then taking it to a level where you can actually make 23 litres. Is the quality the same? That's questionable, but that's part of what we're looking at. So it's a fairly it's a simple process. It gives you a little bit more workings into mashing and stuff on your brew day, so it's a little bit more interesting. So if you're stepping up a little bit, you're coming up from extracts, like hopped kits, but you don't want to go right into all grain, but you want to have a little bit more control over what you're doing, be a bit more involved, and this is a perfect way of doing it. So this is the brew. As I said, it was bittered with Southern Star, and has Eldorado at 10 minutes of the whirlpool, and had a 30-gram dry hop on day 3, which was in for 2 days. So it hasn't been heavily hopped by any stretch. I don't know what the actual IBU was on this, and I haven't got it handy. But it's not massive. It's probably only maybe in the mid-20s, higher 20s IBU. A couple of packs of Nottingham Under Pressure in the all-rounder. Original Gravity 1041, and that's her there. She's got a nice little gold tinge. This used the Breeze Golden Light liquid malt, which is sort of between their pale ale and their Pilsner malt. It's lightish, but not super light. So I was going just for a standard, really just a typical run-of-the-mill American US style pale ale. So it smells. It's got a little bit of a sweet. It's not quite toffee. Toffee-ish nose. It's not caramel. A hint of just light fruits there. It's a fairly medium body. The malt's a little bit sweet without being sickly. Now, this has been in the bottle, or in the keg, since the 25th of February, so 6 and a bit weeks, 6.5 weeks, pushing 7. So it's had a good amount of conditioning, and initially that malt sweetness was quite strong and pronounced, and was leaning towards having that kit twangy sort of a feel, without being quite that full twang. It was overly sweet initially, and I was a bit concerned at how it was going to develop, because at that point it was overpowering the hops. Now the hops are light, but they're there. There's a touch of, a little bit of lime, touch of orangey grapefruit note, even a little hint of mango. It's very gentle. It's nothing's jumping out, and as I said, it's not hopped very highly. So it hasn't been hopped to specifically for it to jump out. I wanted to be able to taste everything that was going on in the brew, and if I could assess how the malt and the grain were working. Didn't want to cover it all up with a big bang of hops and not be able to taste what was going on underneath, because that's a big part of what this brew is about. It's about partial mash. It's getting the base that you can work from. So the original gravity was 1040, finished at 1009. So the Nottingham done pretty much bang on its expected sort of target, fraction over 75% attenuation. It's clean. As I said, the body's very medium, middle of the road. It's medium bodied with a medium to light mouthfeel. It's quite light for an ale, but it's not thin or lifeless at the same time. But it's working quite nice. There is still that little bit of sweetness, and for myself personally, I still think that I think it's just a little bit too sweet. I think it could probably do with being just a little bit less, but again, that I think probably comes down more to, could have thrown maybe a little bit of dextrose in, maybe 200 grams of dex, just to thin the body out a little bit. It's only running at 4.1% alcohol, so it would have had, quite easily could have put 2, even 300 grams of dex into the mix, brought the ABV up to 4.5, 4.6, 4.7, and still finished around that 1009, and it would have felt just a little bit lighter, and may have taken a little bit of that sweetness, that sweet feel away. But it's not sickly sweet. Like, you're not drinking it and going, it's not cloying, or not running around everywhere and getting too knocked up. Now, so taking this beer aside, because I said there's a lot of things we could do with this beer. It could have been far more heavily hopped. It could have had more dextrose. Could have had more extract or more grain added to it to bring that alcohol up. I've kept it, as I've kept it low. But as an overall, as a method, not the style of the beer, not the taste of the beer, but the method and what it's produced, it's definitely a superior beer to your standard kit extract. I said there isn't that underlying twang that you do get. I said it was there. I thought, well, it seemed like it was there initially, but I think it was more that, I said, well, I could say about the sweetness, I think that was more what it was about. It seemed like there was twang, but it was just the sweetness of the malt that took some time to develop. And as a result, it's a much more easy drinking beer. You're not getting that weird flavour at the back end that you can get with the kit brew. It's simple. It's not going to compare, not going to challenge, an all-grain brew with a decent recipe. An all-grain brew with a bad recipe, yeah, it probably would. But that's a brewer by brewer thing. If you're brewing grain and you know what you're doing, then you are getting a better beer than this. But it's not, as a blanket thing, a massive difference. It's sitting in the middle, and exactly as it sits in the middle with its simplicity of being made, or how difficult it is to make. the flavour is comparative. Your kit's nice and easy, and you get a lower quality of product generally. Bit more effort, you're getting a better beer. You go a little bit further, you get a better beer again. But this is the whole point. When you want to go from the kit and go a little bit better, but you're not really ready to go into the big, take that big step and go into the bigger expense of the oil grain, this is a very viable option. And no reason from that, with some playing around with your hops and things, your yeast and your ferment temperature and all the rest of it, that you could, you can make a really good beer that you're going to quite happily knock out. Yep. Most brewers, without a doubt, they're going to be quite happy to be knocking that out and drinking it. There's going to be some that are going to not want to drink it, but I'll tell you, you'd be pretty fucking... You'd be pretty up your fucking brewing self to not drink that and not go, well, that's a decent sort of a beer. I've drunk far worse bloody commercial beers, that's for sure. So the method works well. Now, I will put this out there. I do believe, and nothing against this, I've yet, in my own experience, made a beer with liquid extract, unhopped liquid extract, that matches a dry malt extract on the same comparison. That being said, I've not compared the two side by side, and I've just discovered there's a new experiment to come along in the future, and I've got malt there, I've got dry malt, so that will be certainly something to look at a little bit down the track as well. I still tend to find that the liquid extract doesn't quite ferment as well as dry extract does. Why that is, I don't know. But that's just something that I find, and that could personally be, could be completely my own personal taste and preference. It may not be a real thing. You may find different. You might find liquid extract to be better, but that's the way. That's just how it is. But as it stands for this brew, this process works. It works well. Gets you a good beer. Again, as I said, as always, giving your beer time to develop, age, condition to reach its best. I feel this beer is going to improve a little more over the coming couple of weeks. It's improved as it's gone, and I think it will still improve a little bit more yet. But as it is, good, happy. No problem at all. So, guys, as always, if you've got any questions, any comments to make about the process or what goes on, stick them down the bottom. I'll answer any questions you ask. Do you brew with liquid extract? Do you do partial mash brewing? What do you find works for you? What tips you got to help everybody else out to make them better? Is dextrose a good option, or do you use a bit less extract and a bit more grain? Whatever. But that's me. I'm done. I suggest if you're thinking about making a little bit of a step and you've got this little bit of gear around, next time you go to your brew shop, grab yourself a bag of grain, some extract, a little bit of hops, bang yourself out a partial mash brew. Definitely worth it. So again, all Little John's patrons, cheers and thank you guys. Support is much appreciated. If you haven't hit the subscribe button, hit the subscribe button now. Ring the bloody bell so you know when you get a notification when there's a new video up. And either way, whether you're Patreon, not Patreon, subscriber or not, hit the like button if you're still watching, because if you're still watching now, something's going right for you. So, StarDorado, partial mash, extract and grain brew. Yum, not bad. So till I see you again, we're brewing beer, drinking beer, or we talking beer, good brewing.